Welcome to Loving Life, a guide to a positive mindset. I'm your host, Lisa. I'm a mindset and energy coach, and each week you'll discover mindset shifts, energy practices, and real life tools to help you feel more confident, calm, and in flow, because you deserve to love the life you're creating. I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's get going on today's episode. Change has this funny way of showing up when we least expect it. One season of life begins to fade, and before we know it, we're holding on tight to what it used to be until something beautiful reminds us that it's not really ending, it's just evolving. Welcome back to Loving Life. Now, before we get into today's episode, I just want to take time to thank the place with the biggest amount of downloads, as always, and by a mile. This week the largest amount of downloads was in Michigan, in lots of different state places within the state, but Michigan, hello, and hello to everybody. I really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate you coming back and supporting me. Now, talking about support, before we get into the content today, you may have noticed, maybe not, because I don't know how long Apple takes to update it, but you may have noticed that I have a new subscription for the podcast. So if you love listening to my episodes every week and you want to support me, then I have got a really easy way for you to be able to do that. So if it's not live on Apple Podcasts yet, then have a look in the show notes. But I've set up a subscription where you pay $5 a month. That's it. Not even the cost of a cup of coffee for a month. And every Monday I will come in and give you an extra episode, a short episode, just giving you a pep talk for the week ahead. So if you feel like you need extra encouragement, if you love the things that I talk about, and you could do with an extra little pep talk every Monday, or if you just simply want to support me, then that would be so much appreciated. As you know, I put so much time and thought and energy and love into this podcast, and until now I haven't monetized it at all, so I do it completely for free. So if I could start making some money from this podcast, that would just be a massive help to me. So do head over to the show notes. You can set up your subscription. You can cancel it any time you want. But yeah, I would really appreciate your support. Okay, so if you listened last week, then you'll know that I talked about embracing change. I was finding it a struggle to say goodbye to the summer and welcome in autumn, even though I friggin' love autumn. I always have. It's always been my favourite, but I really struggled until now. Today's episode follows really nicely on from that. So change, especially when we're not ready for it, especially when it involves people or routines that we love, it can feel like a loss at first, but actually it can open new doors for us. And I've got a very personal story to go with this. And I feel like if you're a mother, then you will really relate to this. But please do try, and even if you're not a mum, or you haven't got children, or if they've already moved on, or even if they're only young, just try and relate this to something else. Like, we've all experienced change that we're not ready for. So for a while, and when I say a while, I would say a good couple of years, I struggled with the boys getting older. I've struggled with not being needed as much or in the same way as I have done. Like, my purpose from the day that the boys were born, probably the day that I found out I was pregnant, in fact, my purpose was to be the best mum I could and to be the most involved mum that I could as well. And obviously in the last couple of years, so the boys are 16 and 14 now, soon to be 17 and 15. So for the last few years, they've been growing up, getting more independent. They've been doing very much their own thing. And I know I've shared before how sometimes that can leave you with feeling like something is missing, and just sad that I'm not needed in the same way anymore. Like little things like holding my hand when they cross the street and asking me to go and play badminton in the garden. I know I've talked about that before. Like little things like that. I don't get asked to do that anymore. It's very much evolved to, I give them a lift to rugby. I go and support them when they're playing rugby. That's about it really. We sit and have dinner together every night. But that is, it's limited connection when you compare it to what I have always had for the last 16 years. And that's amazing. That is an amazing thing. Don't get me wrong. It's an amazing thing because it shows that they've grown up and they are independent and that they are comfortable doing their own thing. But it's sad for me. And obviously I've got 2 boys. I haven't got girls that, I don't know, want to go shopping with me. That's very stereotypical, isn't it? It's not just girls that like shopping, but my 2 are just like Craig. They would much rather order something online than go and experience the shops. Anyway, back during the summer when I was very much supporting Alfie through his GCSEs, he asked me if I'd be able to book these tickets for us to go and watch this orchestral, I don't really know what the word is, how to say it, but an orchestra, is that right? An orchestral show of his favourite anime. Now, that is not normally my thing, but when he asked me that, I was just so chuffed that he asked me. So I was like, yes, book the tickets. Not the kind of thing that I would normally be into. But then after he'd finished his exams in the summer, we were like, shall we watch this anime? Like, I'm sure it would make sense for me to watch it. So as then when we go to the show, I'm kind of going to know what's going on. Anyway, we basically spent the whole summer watching this anime, which I don't know if any of you are into anime. It's called Attack on Titan. It's apparently the biggest, most successful anime. It's thought to be the most successful anime of all time. And this show, they've had it on at Madison Square Gardens and the Sydney Opera House. So that's how big it is. Like, it's been in those venues. I think it has anyway. I looked it up and I'm sure it said that. Anyway, it's big. And I loved it. But I think one of the reasons why I loved it so much is because it was like an excuse to do something with him, We would we'd move the sofa up to the TV and watch this together. And, sometimes we'd have snacks or whatever, but not all the time. Like sometimes we would just sit there and sometimes we even stay up late together, which is really not like me. I loved it. I loved spending time with him. When it was over, I was quite sad. Anyway, last weekend was when this show was on. So me and Alfie travelled to London together. We stayed overnight because it was typically the same night as Oasis. The last Oasis's last night in Wembley. They were in Wembley Stadium. We were in Wembley Arena, which is right next door. So that was a bit of a nightmare getting out. Anyway, but we decided to make a bit of a weekend of it. Stayed overnight so as we weren't travelling home too late, but we made a weekend of it and we did some lovely things together. And it just made me, I don't know, it took me back, obviously. It felt really nostalgic for me spending time together. But I felt really lucky. I felt so lucky that he'd asked me to do that. And I don't know, because are there many 16-year-olds who want to go away with their mum? Probably not. But it just made me realise that even though I thought that was gone, the way we connected has changed. It hasn't gone. It's evolved. And that's often what change is. It's not an ending. It's evolving, it's an evolution. And that's the thing, like so many of us go through changes in seasons. As we talked about last week, we have changes in our relationships, we have changes to our careers, we have changes to our health and our identity. And often we cling to what was because it's familiar, because it feels safe, because it's what we know. We know what to expect. So even when you think you've come to the end of something, that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you just need to be open to new things, open to things being different, and adapt to that change. Because when we're open, when we are open to trying new things, life has this beautiful way of surprising us with new ways to connect, with new ways to grow, and new ways to find joy. So just like autumn teaches us to let go and teaches us to slow down, not because everything is dying, but because it's transforming. Just be reassured that every change creates space for something new, something that you might not have even imagined that you would enjoy. Absolutely not a chance a year ago would I thought I'd enjoy watching anime. I cannot explain to you like how obsessed I've been. Like at the time when we were watching it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had the songs, I still get the songs in my head all the time. Just be open to new things. So if you've been resisting change lately, whether it is your kids growing up, whether it is a new role at work, or a shift in your identity, like maybe you're changing, that's okay. But ask yourself, what am I afraid to lose? What might I be ready to gain instead? Don't necessarily try to predict what things might show up for you. Like, I'm not going to lie, it did get me thinking like, oh, what kind of things can I do with George when he's a little bit older? What kind of things is he going to want to do with me? But there will be things. Like he's quite into Formula One as well. But then so's Craig. That might be their thing. I'm open to learning new things, finding out about new things, experiencing new things, as long as George is up for that as well. And the thing is about being open to change, open to things changing and evolving. If we are not, then the energy gets stuck. And usually when it's things to do with relationships or friendships or things to do with love, anything that you love, it's going to get stuck in the heart chakra, and we don't want that. So actually, I would like you to just close your eyes a moment. If you can, obviously. If you can't, then don't. But just drop into your heart space and take a few calming breaths. And just notice a green light in your heart space. And breathe into that space, that green light. And for every breath you take in, notice it growing brighter. And for every breath out, allow it to flow. Allow it to spread. Allow it to travel to every cell of your body. Allow yourself to feel the calming energy of that. And just remember that you don't have to rush to accept change. Just have an open heart and remember to stay open to the possibility that it might bring something beautiful, something new. Okay, if this spoke to you, whether from a motherhood point of view or any other season in your life that may be coming to an end, maybe take a few minutes to journal on these reflective questions. So what part of your life feels like it's changing right now? What are you afraid of losing? How could this change be an invitation to experience something new? And what might you discover if you said yes to something out of your comfort zone? Okay, change doesn't mean the end of connection, doesn't mean the end of joy or purpose. It just means that we are being asked to find them in new ways, which is exactly what I have had the beauty of finding with this situation that I've talked about today. I invite you to share your experiences with me. Like, if you have a change happening in your life right now, come over to my Instagram and send me a DM or email me, lisa@lisadavage.co.uk, and let me know. Whilst we're on that, actually, again, thank you so much to those who have reached out this week. I fucking love it when people come and tell me how this is helping them. In fact, I just want to give a little shout out to Sarah, who sent me a picture of her hammock that she has now put up in her garden when she listened to the self-care episode. In fact, I know that self-care episode hit home with a lot of people, and loads of people have reached out and said how it's encouraged them to find more time to look after themselves. So thank you so much, and well done. It's not easy to admit that you need to make more time for yourself. It's not easy to find time for yourself. So well done to everybody who has done that. Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. I appreciate that this episode was very much my own story, but I hope you've managed to resonate in some way and it's inspired you to be open to what might be around the corner. It's not coming to an end. It's evolving. Let's evolve together. I shall see you next week. Don't forget to check in the show notes if you want to support my podcast. If you've been listening for a long time and you tune in every week and you'd love to buy me a coffee and you can't, then why not subscribe and get something back for it yourself? Hope to give many of you a pep talk on Monday. If not, then I'll see you next week. Send in lots of love. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and if you're listening on Apple, as 95% of you do, review. It really helps the podcast reach more people who are ready to shift their mindset and raise their vibration. And if you know someone who would benefit from today's episode, feel free to share it with them. Until next time, keep loving life and know that I'm sending you so much love.